What's up, people? You're watching a clip from the WRESTHINGS podcast. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. By the Mandem, for the Mandem.
So obviously, since that Roman, obviously that's why they brought in the secondary title. What's Seth got going on?
So Seth defended the championship on Raw against Damian Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment Day had a bit of a tiff.
Oh, really? It looks like they're trying to tease some sort of breakup or something.
The cracks are beginning to show.
After watching Raw, I don't believe it anymore.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think that they're working together. Like, they're going to pretend that they're literally pretending that they're going to tease a breakup. This is for Finn Balor to win the championship.
Yeah.
But my thing with Seth now is that, okay, he defended it on Raw. And yes, they're going to have to make this feel different to what Roman's doing or not doing with that world title, innit? He's defended it on Raw. This morning, I'm watching NXT. And Braun Breaker has called out Seth Rollins for the world title.
Yeah.
Right? So without doubt, the fighting champion is going to go to NXT at some point to fight Braun Breaker. Now...
On NXT?
I'm assuming so.
No,
he told him to come here. His words were come here, innit?
Might as well.
His words will come here.
No.
That's not good. That's like
I think it's good for Braun.
It's good for Braun. It's good for NXT as well. Like,
Is it good for the championship?
I don't think it's good for the champ because
who's the champion?
Seth Rollins. Oh, the NXT champion,
Yeah,
Carmelo Hayes. No, Braun Breaker was calling.
He can beat Braun Breaker. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Braun Breaker beat who?
Seth can go over there and beat Braun Breaker. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm thinking for the championship.
The world title.
Yeah, for the world, or the secondary thing that they're doing. Is it good? Like, are they watering it down with Seth just like basically
just
wrestling everywhere, and the character of Seth is already kind of jovial and jokey. He's not like a champion as we know it in terms of how he's presented. So with that mixed with him just taking his belt everywhere and fighting anybody for it, is that
this is his forbidden door, isn't it? So. Yeah,
it's forbidden door.
You might as well. I'm not against it.
I'm not against it. I'm just not sure if we're here. We've been calling this a consolation prize, since day one. So it's like, does this help the perception of the title?
Especially when they branded it, this belt is going to be different from what Roman is doing. I don't necessarily like. I'm a fan of open challenges, but when the challenge is too open, you're now just letting anyone in. You're slag at this point, and I'll be real.
There needs to be rules and regulations.
Come on, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it could, as long as it's Braun, you shouldn't come and let what's this guy that does come next Tuesday? What's that tall guy?
Von Wagner.
Yes, as long as it's not Von Wagner asking for a title shot. I'm fine, but Braun, I don't mind.
Do you know what it is?
This will be good in his vignette.
Yeah,
you know what? I put a good fight against Seth. And then maybe down the line they can revisit when he now comes to Raw. But if it's Von Wagner or anyone else, no, I'm so sorry.
But my thing with Seth and Braun as a matchup, I agree. I don't mind. It's him going to NXT because now it's like, okay, you've got a world championship, but I know NXT's like it's back in this like developmental hybrid phase. It's like, okay, I'm the world champion going to developmental essentially. Instead of like, if it was Braun going, okay, do you know what? I'm coming to you. I'm going to come to Monday Night Raw, the big leagues. Yeah. Then I'll be like, okay, cool. But it's like, I'm the world champion and I'm reducing myself, no disrespect, to developmental, man.
Because I wouldn't even look at it as reducing, though. Like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, it's a play for everyone to win at this point. If Seth is going down to NXT, I wouldn't even look at it as like reducing. It's like, he's coming to a new, like, he was built there. He's now coming to a new arena around new people. It's now more so a thing of like, this isn't for Seth. This is just a stat pad for him. But this is more so for those who are not familiar with Braun to be familiar with him now that he's facing someone like Seth.
And we know they're heavily invested in Braun.
It's a cosign as opposed to like, you know what, I'm doing you lot a favour. I'm just coming down. Like, Seth needs the new competition as well.
This is actually bizarre because normally someone goes down to NXT when they don't have a title.
But the thing is, in the past, we've seen champions go down to NXT though.
A world champion.
As world champion went down to NXT.
To actually wrestle and compete.
CM Punk wrestled in NXT
as world champion. As in defended their title.
They wrestled. It's not even like they went. They brought the belt
for the title.
Charlotte did it as well.
It just feels weird because can you imagine Roman Reigns doing that?
Can't imagine Roman Reigns working. Let alone
He's
not going to go to NXT.
No, but we have to understand now that there's like we're now seeing the synergy of what NXT and
Main roster.
main roster is.
Yeah.
We
It's
saw
not indie
Braun,
like.
we saw Braun, Dolph Ziggler come to NXT and win the NXT title.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it should ever be looked at as like, oh, someone reducing themselves. It's just more so now. That's just another place now.
But
It just happens
normally,
to be people that are
Baron Corbin is
not-
down
Baron
there
Corbin
now.
is there, RD's
coming
there.
to change.
but like why the way they've changed the system, normally it's just
Okay.
NXT main roster. That's it.
so
Not main roster NXT.
Because people will come from NXT to the main roster. Nobody will know who they are, but they'll now completely change their whole gimmick, and people are just like, oh, this person was built like this in NXT.
Yeah.
Now that they're here, we don't even know what's going on.
They're trying to
we saw with
create
Karrion
synergy.
Kross, we saw with all these different wrestlers where they're on NXT, they were pushed to the moon. But when they came to main roster, they started looking like gimps and fucking dominatrixes. They started looking like dominatrixes and people confused. Do you know what I mean?
Karrion
So it's
Kross
better
is
that,
funny.
you know, like there's some sort of like linear system between NXT and the main roster where no matter if you're going up or if you're going down, we both were aware of what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it adds to the story as well. So I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I don't really care. I'll be real.
I'm not a fan of it.
There's still a chance. Obviously, like I say, Braun called him out and said, come here and whatever. But they've got Great American Bash coming up, which is a pay-per-view, PLE. So it could be on pay-per-view.
And we know Seth likes that type of wrestling where he could just go all out. That's what I'm saying. If he was to go Great American Bash, this is his Great Forbidden Door. I'm telling you, because him and Braun will be able to have the match that he wants.
I hear it.
You imagine he's facing Woodlow. Like, yeah, this is me. No, imagine he's facing Woodlow. Do you know what I mean?
The match will slap to be.
The match will slap. He will
Yeah,
think
I'm not
you know
opposed
what,
to it.
you're like your Uncle Scott. Let's give them a WCW 2000 banger.
Yeah.
One Breaker's very good.
But you know what? That kind of went over my head, and I was like, "Now, do you know what? It's Nick Khan has recently been talking about NXT being the third brand.
Yeah.
So they were developmental, and then they became a third brand. They went head to head with AEW. They lost, and they became developmental again. They beat developmental sort of thing, and now they're pushing it as a third brand again.
Yeah.
So that's another reason for the synergy. They're trying and NXT is doing really well. WWE as a brand
He's doing well.
is doing excellent. You know, like NXT does really good numbers. They don't. The tickets on the road aren't going through the roof or anything. But like as a TV property, it's doing really, really well. They were number 4. No, they were 5 in entertainment for the whole of last week
Okay.
in television, which. Last week in cable television, Raw was number 1, AEW Dynamite was 4, and NXT was 5. There are 5 pro wrestling shows in the top 5 entertainment TV properties of the whole of last week. You know how many thousands of TV shows were on cable? 3 in the top 5 last week. That is absolutely incredible.
Impressive.
That hasn't happened since probably 1998. No, probably early 99. You know, so. But yeah, it's the brands. They're trying to create synergy between the brands because they're trying to promote NXT again as a third brand. So I don't see why Seth wouldn't work the Great American Bash. I actually think that's a really good idea.
Now that makes sense. That makes sense.
Isn't it going to be in Florida?
No, they do.
Oh really?
Well,
Are they going to be touring pay-per-view to pay-per-view now?
Yeah, they've been doing that.
They've been doing that since maybe WrestleMania, just before WrestleMania.
They should do that.
What's up, people? You're watching a clip from the WRESTHINGS podcast. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. By the Mandem, for the Mandem.